You're listening to Keepin' It Real with Sean Geno. This is a GenoCast production. What up, y'all? Welcome to Keepin' It Real with Sean Geno. I'm your host, the one and only Sean Geno. This episode of Keepin' It Real with Sean Geno is sponsored by Queen Bee Media. If you need a website, lead generation, email marketing, automated workflows, digital ad, podcasting, videos, social media stuff, Queen Bee Media can hook you up. Visit them at queenbeemedia.co. This is episode number 3, titled The Founders Part 2. Thank you for pushing play and listening. This is part 2. So if you haven't listened to part 1, I'd recommend doing that so that you're not like, this is a weird way to open a podcast. Because when we ended part 1, we were dealing with the house getting filled up with 7 people. So without further ado, on with part 2.
We're still in this 3-bedroom house, man. You know, it's now 2 sisters, 2 brothers, me, and my mom and dad. And we're all in this 3-bedroom house. And it's 1979, so I'm 11. And I know that, like, at that time we had bunk beds, like in my room. Like, it was me and then my 2 brothers, like, shared a bed. And then my sisters shared a room. But, you know, starting to get older and things like that, but running out of room. At this point in time, you know, my dad has graduated radio school and got a job at a radio station. And it's doing awesome. So he was at KFH Radio, you know, started on-air guy and worked his way up. And my mom was, you know, still at home raising us kids. And so, you know, must have been all right. I mean, we were never rich by any means. I mean, my mom was thrifty as fuck. Like, how she was able, like, learning some shit, right? Like, some from her aunt. She was able to, like, know how to really do it. She could really make a dollar go a long way. And because it's not like it's not like radio's a good paying gig. You know, you don't make a lot of money in radio, especially then, unless you're like the national guy type shit. But what happens is we converted the garage to a family room. So, you know, at least, like, it's like, well, this will give us a little bit more space, you know, because it was just like living room, dining room, kitchen, 3 bedrooms, all of us. And it's like, well, we'll convert this garage into a family room, and, you know, it'll give us some more room. And, you know, while we're doing it, they split the living room or something. And it's like, let's, you know, try and remodel what we can in this house to make it work, because we can't afford to go buy a new house. I mean, you know, we can't afford to sell this and find anywhere else affordable that's going to work. So we got to make this shit work in this house. And we did. Then in 79, my mom gets pregnant finally. So after years of trying to have a baby, it finally works. And my only biological brother is born. Healthy, everything's good, man, everything's great. Dang, one problem though. Now we got another kid, and still, mom's still at home, dad's still on the radio. What are we gonna do? And so what happened is that, and I'm sure that like the stress is building for my dad, right? I mean, dang, man, it's just all these kids. And someday this motherfucker probably come home and be like, who's this? Like, he don't know. It's like, hey, this is a new baby. Well, how long's this kid going to be? We don't know. And he's like, oh, fuck. Right? I mean, man, as I think back, I'm like, man, that shit must have been hard to do for sure. I'm getting ready to like go into junior high. Like I can't be sharing a room with like three brothers. Like all four of us boys can't all be in one bedroom. So it's a problem. So what my shit, man? They're like, well, let's just remodel. And so what she did is, man, they were could afford a loan type shit, and built a motherfucking second floor on top of the fucking house that we lived in. Second floor, 2 more bedrooms, fucking another bathroom. That's the other thing. We only had 1 fucking bathroom. So yeah, we got 2 bedrooms upstairs, another bathroom, a laundry room, like made a laundry room so that I think the washer and dryer were in the kitchen. Open up the kitchen more. She like built in benches in the wall. Benches had seats that lifted up, could store a bunch of pans and shit underneath there. Like she's like, fuck it, we're gonna make this house work. And shit, y'all, that motherfucker. Driving by, you still see it. It sticks out like a sore fucking thumb because every other house in the neighborhood's a single story, right? No one else was like, "Whoa, fuck, let's just stay here and keep remodeling." No one else had to do it because no one else was having all these kids still broke as fuck. And so, shit, man. After that, it's hilarious to see for sure because all of a sudden you just see this 2-story fucking house. And the other thing is that there's this big huge pipe that goes up because something about code and I don't know, but anyway, it worked though. It was great. And so, shit, man, I was able to like have my own room up there and my sister was up there and she had her own room and we had our bathroom and all those little kids were like downstairs and oh man, it was great. Oh, and we all had a little storm shelter. My mom was always freaking out about tornadoes. Like growing up in Kansas, shit. She was always freaking out. So she, when they did that remodel, there's like a little storm cellar underneath the stairs that like comes up and she made the builders like cement it all up nice, and then I think we had carpet down there and shit. It was kind of cool because we didn't have a basement either, just single floor. All that's going good, right? My dad's still doing his radio gig. He's moving on up at this point, shit. He ain't just an on-air guy at this point. He's moving on up because he has to, because he's got him. The only way you're going to make more money in a radio station, you can't get more hours. It's more responsibility. So he's taking on more responsibility. Give me more responsibility, more responsibility. He became the program director. And, it was a dual radio station then. So, they had classic country KFH, and then on the other side of things, it was an FM channel. And man, this is before FM was even big, man. It was around, but it wasn't. It was still kind of some AM shit. And this radio station was like, they called it elevator music then, which is kind of weird now that I think about that shit. Like now, did all elevators play music or? I have a hard time even like getting in an elevator now and even having any music play for me. So I was like, what the fuck happened to that shit? But anyway, so it was like some classical shit, just instrumental, just easy listening. I mean, just bullshit. And but they were going to launch a new station, so like he was crucial in launching. It was called Super Radio, and it was going to be a whole new format, and you know, very very cool to be a part of as he transitioned that station. And that station's still around. It might be called B98 or some shit now. I don't know. But anyway, it was great. But once again, I didn't even mention that one of my foster brothers had cerebral palsy. So I'm like, he's probably stressed the fuck out. One of my brothers has cerebral palsy. He couldn't use his left side. My mom was able to work with him. In addition to Rainbows United, that was another place that, gave support for children with special needs. I mean, all the way down to babies. But no, man, she worked with him and worked with him and worked with him, and he's functioning now, man. But like at that point, wasn't. So, in addition, they are doing things like, we're not going to Catholic school at this point. So we're all still going to public school, which is close. It's a school that's close by. I'm able to come home for lunch type shit. We went to a church on the south side of Wichita. And so since we did public school, the Catholic rule was, oh, well, your children still need Catholic education. Just because you don't send your kids to Catholic school does not mean that you are not going to give them some sort of Catholic education. And so we went to a thing called, it was called CCD. I don't know what the fuck it means. Catholic something. Catholic catechism. I don't know. Anyway, it was like on a weeknight, and it was all the, not all the kids, but the kids who went to public school, did go to Catholic school, and their parents are making them go to this Catholic class. And so they were teachers at that. They taught one of those classes. Then what happens next is my mom gets pregnant again. So now she's pregnant again. And it was regular pregnancy. I mean, just like the one with my brother. Felt like it was very similar to the one she had with me. Didn't notice anything different. And when she was born, something was wrong. And she knew immediately something was wrong. And it is something like her leg was twisted back. I don't even know all of the details about it, but it was a condition that was diagnosed as arthrogryposis. And the doctors were like, she's never going to walk. She is going to have this condition her entire life. Fucking just devastating. They're like, she's going to have surgery. There's going to be multiple surgeries. It's going, it's going to be a long, long road. And I'm sure my mom and dad were sad about that. But I never saw that. Like during that time, as they're dealing with this new baby that's severely deformed and has issues, not once did I see them sad by it or anything. It was always, this is okay. Oh, they could do surgery? Okay, well, that'll fix it then. Oh, okay. How many 5? Okay, that sounds great. Yep, that'll help her then. All that shit. One of the surgeries she had, she was forced to be in a body cast from the waist down. She's probably maybe, I don't know, 4 months, 5 months old, in a body cast with her legs kind of spread open so that when you could sit her, right, like you could prop her up in with the fucking cast because her legs are out and she's sitting on the cast, and then they got like a little hole area for her diaper and shit. But it doesn't take long for that to start to smell and shit like that. And I mean, it's just a fucking hardest thing in the world to be having to have your newborn baby go through all of these surgeries and all of these things that they had to do. It was amazing how my mom and dad handled that situation. Now I know my dad's freaking out, right? Because he's now got 2 kids with special needs. My brother with cerebral palsy, my sister now. I'm getting older. I'm starting high school. And my sister is, not a whole lot younger than me. We're all getting older. And the fact of all of the medical bills that he's going to have to endure is climbing. I'm sure he didn't have the actual best healthcare working in radio at that time. The only other level up in radio from where he was at this point is general manager. And that general manager wasn't going nowhere type shit, right? Like, he ain't giving it up. He ain't. Dude's got a great job. He ain't going nowhere. And I feel that really forced my dad out of radio because he had to make a decision on continue to do what he loved or being able to provide for this large, ever-growing family. It's not like he could go just get another job at another station either. I mean, that's what I mean. General managers' jobs aren't like, oh yeah, there's only a couple, there's only a few. And that was the next level. That's the only way that he could have kept going to maybe make the income that he needed to. However, he was very fortunate. He ended up at Coors and was able to start them with their marketing. Right? So it's like, hey, look, the owner of, the distributorship is like, look, you got all these media connections. You've been in media for years. You've done amazing things with the radio stations that you've been involved in, the 2. And you understand what media buys are, and you get this shit. Come work for me. I'm sure it was talked about like, oh, my dad's probably like, oh gosh, I mean, I kind of need this much money and all of this and all of that, and but it doesn't matter. I got you, right? So off he goes. Left radio and got involved in the local beer distributorship in Wichita. Once again, doing really good, right? Because now it's like, oh shit, more levels. He started at this small position doing just that because that's what he knew. But great opportunity to grow into a lot of things now that he's in, with this beer distributorship. And that is exactly what he did. I mean, he started working there and moved up. And I mean, I don't know how many times, but I mean, like, he's like kind of running the distributorship all of a fucking sudden. you know? It's like, what the fuck? Is fucking charge of warehouses, inventories, route salesmen, like all that shit. And, we're still living in that house though. Like all that shit's still working. And then I come home one day, sophomore in high school or junior year. And I'm like, well, guess what, y'all? I got my girlfriend pregnant. And she really needs to live here with us. Because her home environment isn't going to really be... It's not going to be able to have the care that my mom can give. But once again, it's like, okay, it's... What would the good Catholic boy do in this situation? Oh, well, you will get married. You will marry this girl, of course. And it's not like anyone told me. It's not like my mom and dad were like sitting there like, oh, well, you got her pregnant. You're going to marry her. I mean, they were pushing for adoption. Really. Never abortion. Like that was never, ever brought up. But it was, especially with all of the shit that my mom's been through with all these foster kids and shit, right? Seeing all these young parents and taking care of all these babies and seeing that their thing was, no, you should give it up for adoption. And my ex-wife wasn't about that. My ex-wife wasn't Catholic. She's like, fuck that shit. I'm not gonna fucking be pregnant for 9 months and then just give my baby away. Like, fuck that. And so that's what I did. I'm like, well then shit, we're gonna get married then. No, that was my sophomore year that she was pregnant, because we got married the summer of our junior year. Because the senior year in high school, we were married. So, and we're still in this house, right? We're still in this same fucking original 3-bedroom fucking house. Now I'm living there with my wife and kid in that room, right? I think my sister's now forced to share a room with her sister. Like, motherfucker's full as fuck. And then, and I know that my dad was looking to buy a house. I mean, I know, like, we were looking because there's 11 of us in there, at that time. And so I just don't think that he could swing it, man. It was something about, being able to buy it and like sell our house. And because of all these fucking add-ons that they put on the house, nobody wanted it, right? Like, nobody in that neighborhood had running around with 8 motherfucking kids, and nobody wanted this fucking weird looking house that's 2 stories when everyone else's is 1 story. And so the value too, right? It's like, it wasn't really, I don't think that they were able to get what they needed to be able to buy a home that was big enough for all of us type shit. And so what happened though is my dad's boss hooked him up. he obviously is doing such a good fucking job now at this place that it's like, I'll hook you up. I think he might have even been doing Wendy's now. I mean, because the local beer distributorship and the local Wendy's franchise was owned by the same guy, and I don't even know the details. So there's this is one of the videos that I'm going to have a link to, because my mom has a little story about how all this went down that you definitely got to watch. But in a nutshell, it's like, okay, he had a house. He had a house in College Hill that somebody wanted. The people that wanted that house were having trouble selling their house, which was also in College Hill. Big 3-story house. And they were having trouble selling it. So he puts together my dad's boss puts together this plan of, okay, you friend, you buy this house. I'll make sure that your house gets sold. I got a guy that needs it. So I'm going to make sure that this house gets sold, and then tells my dad, I'll buy your existing house and make sure that gets sold. So it's like he made all that shit happen for our family. And it's incredible, because now all of a sudden we're moving to this beautiful home in College Hill. I'm still living at home because we're still trying to get through high school. And oh, by the way, there's no way I'm transferring to East at this point. I mean, like, I'm almost done. I mean, I'm in my senior year when we move. I'm not transferring. So we finished out, that year. I just drove back and forth from College Hill to the high school. But it was incredible because my ex-wife and I, with my son, we've got this whole attic level, super big, some privacy. All my siblings have nice big bedrooms. There's no more storm shelter. It's like a true basement. I mean, it's amazing. All my kids or all of my brothers and sisters stop going to public school and get sent to Catholic school. I don't know. That probably, was not the best thing to do, because not everyone is cut out for Catholic school. And Catholic schools are horrible at anyone that has anything that has to do with learning disabilities or anyone that needs special needs or anything like that. They are not able to provide those resources like a public school is. And, but once again, that's what my mom really wanted this Catholic lifestyle, especially in this College Hill neighborhood that's just like its own little fucking bubble. I mean, you've got this Catholic church that's in the neighborhood, and it's been there for a bunch of years. All historic, nice homes, sidewalks. Like a lot of people in the neighborhood go to that church, and they send all their kids to that school, and so all your neighbors and everyone are going to this Catholic school, and then you see them through all the church events and all of that stuff. And your kids can go to school there for free, but you got to give of your time, talent, and treasure. 10% of your treasure, and you got to give of your time and talent. And so you've got to be doing these things um, to be able to even send your kids to school there. And it is unique in the fact that, the only thing you pay for is like registration fees, and it's most, like here in Minneapolis, there's a tuition and stuff like that. So um, that diocese in Wichita has been able to develop that to where you don't pay a tuition, but you pay through your time, talent, and 10% of your income. And trust me, they'll ride your ass like fucking Zorro to make sure that you do it. I mean, like, if you don't turn in your fucking papers, where are your papers? Oh, it's time to renew the time, talent, and treasure. Where are your papers? I don't see you signed up for anything. Type shit. And it's one of those things that did have an effect on our family. But my mom was very, very into it at the time. I mean, she was all about that. And then what happens is, I kind of drop the bomb on my parents and am like, I don't want to be with my wife at the time anymore, my ex-wife. I am going to be leaving her. And I'll see my boys on weekends. She'll have them during the week. I'm moving out. She can keep the house. And she can keep her vehicle. And I am bouncing out. And it was, no, you're not. No, no. We don't do that in this family, right? Like I said, the only other person that ever had divorce, in my whole family is my grandma. My mom's mom. At this point in time, she'd had 3. And she was fucking judged. She was fucking judged. They fucking judged, I don't know if my mom and dad did necessarily, but like I know other members of my dad's family definitely kind of judged her and looked down upon her because of a divorce. Multiple divorces in her case. Yeah, it's kind of fucked up. And so I'm feeling it now, right? It's like, oh, well, you're not going to get divorced. If you need some time to separate, that's fine. Why don't you just move back home and separate, and you guys go do some counseling and maybe get a little bit of therapy, and I'm sure that after some time, you guys will be just fine. And I'm like, no. We tried it for a minute. But, I mean, look, by the time that I told them that I was done, motherfucker was already done. So, because I'd met someone new. That fucking makes it super fucking easy to leave people when you've found somebody else. Because I didn't have to worry about being alone. And that's probably, one thing that I was not prepared to have to handle because I had never been alone at that point. I mean, look, I went from living with my parents to living with my ex-wife with my parents to now I'm leaving my ex-wife and I'm going to go, what? Move in with another chick. And that's what I did. And so uh, nobody was. I felt like nobody was even gave a fuck about what I wanted at that point in time, right? Because now all of a sudden, you know, here and there, you know, my part of my ex-wife's rub was be like, you know, I don't want to go over to your parents' house. I don't want to go over there. I'm tired of going over there all the time. You know, I don't want to. And then now all of a sudden, right, like I've left her, right? And now where's she at? Fucking at my mom's house, my mom and dad's house. And I get it because that's where my kids felt super comfortable, right? Because look, my kids are young. I still had siblings that were young. My oldest son is older than my youngest sister. So, you know, they're all hanging out together. My brother with cerebral palsy is still slow enough and behind enough that he's still, you know, even though he's older and like in his teens, he's still at their kind of 10-year-old level type shit. It absolutely made that easier for my kids because divorce is a traumatic fucking event on kids, man. And at that point in time in my life, 21, 22, I guess the hard truth of that is just I didn't give a shit. You know? I wasn't thinking about my kids. I wasn't thinking about what they were going to go through. Damn sure wasn't thinking about my ex-wife. And was being selfish and getting pissed off like, man, why the fuck you at my why are you at my family's house, man? Like, you need to fucking go. Or go to my mom and be like, man, why the fuck is she here, man? You know, like stop by and like, oh fuck. The fuck you doing over here? Some bullshit. You know, she didn't have the support system in her mom that she obviously needed. And instead of me being happy about the fact that my mom's able to be there for her support that will help her be a better mother to my children, it was just selfish fucking shit. Like, what the fuck you doing here? Get the no, you got your shit, I got my shit, we'll divide this shit, stay the fuck away. And nobody, and good thing that nobody was listening to me and be like, yeah, you need to go get the fuck out of here. Nobody had my back. Thank God. Because they shouldn't have. And I roll out. I'm like, cool. You know what? Fuck you, fuck you, fuck you, fuck all y'all motherfuckers. I'm rolling the fuck out. I'm moving in with this new girl. Shit. I don't need none of y'all motherfuckers. And for a year, did not like talk to my kids. I didn't talk to my mom. I didn't talk to my dad. I didn't fucking talk to my ex-wife. It was like I said, all right, I'm fucking done with all you motherfuckers. Brothers, sisters, none of them. I'm like, all you motherfuckers are on my ex-wife's side. That shit went on for like 2 years, man. Like me fucking around, like, oh, maybe get a divorce. Like I extended that shit way too long. And then now, so after the year goes by, right? The year goes by, I finally at least come to my senses. I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, you're a dad. You know, I was like straight up living la vida loca. Because as you'll see in my story about why some stuff with, you know, my first wife is She turned 21, but 20. Okay, so this is another number, right? Like 21. This number 21 is, I don't know, it changed some things as well because, she turned 21 before I did. We had 2 kids at that time. So she's 21. She's out partying. And I can't because I can't get in yet. I can maybe get into like little smaller one, little fake ID here and there. But it wasn't as easy to get fake IDs as I see it is today. And B, I don't know, just really wasn't wanting that shit at that time. And so I'd watch kids and be home with kids and then let that build over time to where then when I was done and was free of that for a minute, then I was like, okay, I'm going to go do this shit now. Now I'm going to go do this shit. Oh, I'm going to go clubbing. I'm going to go hang out. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. I'm going to start smoking some weed. Like, I'm fucking doing this shit, right? And no kids. I want to be able to, she had family that lived in Missouri in Shell Knob, Table Rock Lake. And, it was like, oh, we could just, we could just like get in a car, just me and you, and we can like roll there and we can like hang out on a lake and shit. Your mom, like you got it like that? Y'all got boat? Like what? Yeah. That's what I did for a year. It's kind of fucked up for a couple reasons. First is the hole that it obviously left my 2 boys is one. Because it did. They're still dealing with some traumatic shit from it. I fucked them up on that shit. And then my ex-wife, fucking just not being able to be there to fucking take the kids on my, be there for my kids. And then the third thing is both my mom and dad. Because they stepped in. They filled my role. They did the shit for that year that I was supposed to be doing. And they made it really easy for my ex-wife to be able to, can I just drop the kids? Can they stay here for the weekend? Like, it was really easy. And I was a selfish prick at that time. And so what happened then after I came to my senses and was finally like, okay, this is living an illusion. This isn't, I've got to come to reality and start to deal with some of this stuff. It was then, it's weird now, right? It's weird. So now I'm trying to integrate this new girlfriend with my family. She's young. She's still a little immature. And to think that she can deal with something as heavy as what I was expecting her to do is way too fucking much. She's feeling intimidated as shit out of my ex-wife because my ex-wife is around and has integrated in this family way more than this new girl is. She's kind of on the outside looking in. Also kind of knowing she's the quote other woman, being around my ex-wife it was very uncomfortable for her. And so a lot of that shit with her then wasn't fair to her either, or the new girlfriend. Wasn't fucking fair to her either, because now what I've done is I've set up these unrealistic expectations of what life is going to be with me through this first year of just fucking doing whatever, whenever, however, with no responsibility at all other than giving her all of my fucking attention. And so what that does is then that builds up this fucking false reality of what life would be like with Sean Geno. When it's like, oh no, life with Sean Geno has got motherfucking kids, it's motherfucking responsibilities, it's like all this shit. And that became a problem. And the closeness of my ex-wife to my family became a problem because she felt like she'd never be accepted, or no matter what. And in the beginning it was weird, but like over time, I mean, I was with her for 5 years. Over time, it it became at least okay. Still always felt weird though. And I just wasn't as close to them at that time because of that. Because I'm like, well, I'm going to protect her feelings, and I get why my ex-wife's there, but if they want to choose her over me, that's fine. I'll just come around and be there every now and then or whatever. Real selfish shit. And even missed my parents' 25th wedding anniversary because of it. They had this huge party, 25 years being married, and I didn't go because my girlfriend was going to be uncomfortable because my ex-wife was. It's kind of like, well, fuck it then. Won't go. And didn't. And regret it. And even at that time, like even through all of this time, there was still like a young teen in the house as a foster kid. Even once, like even through all of this, she still has them showing up. And then this one stayed a while. And, all of that is kind of going on when my sister dies. So when that happens, everything is turned upside down. Because my parents at this point are like, they just lost their daughter, and it was, the whole story is sad. That'll be it's an episode on its own, but they grieved the biggest, the toughest thing that I saw through all of that with them is that they grieved apart through that process. And like I said, through all of that, when she was born, that team effort thing, like all of the it's going to be, hey, oh no, doesn't matter what, we'll get through this. Didn't happen. And the entire family grieved apart. We all kind of grieved alone and didn't get the therapy and counseling and things like that we all definitely needed to be able to process the death, because she was 10 years old. So, and my son was 8 at the time, so they're super close in age. My other son is like probably 5, 6 at the time. My sister is probably like, no, my youngest son's probably like 5. My sister's probably like 6. I mean, they're all like right in the same age group, and their mom and dad are grieving apart and grieving on their own, in their own way. And I know that everyone who was involved in that situation still holds trauma to this day from that time, because it was such a, well, no, just the way it happened on the way for Thanksgiving, and just all of that just was too much. And so My dad quit his job. He's like, I can't fucking do this anymore. Um, because he couldn't fucking concentrate. It's like, who gives a shit how many people are eating fucking burgers? My fucking daughter's dead. Fuck the fries. You know? Um, and what he did is he took quite a few months off and spent it with those remaining group of kids that I just mentioned, because the five of those kids, my two sisters, my younger brother that had cerebral palsy, and my two sons, that five was like a little gang. You know what I mean? Like my oldest, my sister that died was their leader, and they were very affected by that because they're there when it happens in the hotel. And so my dad took that time with those kids and like did summer trips, little Kansas, quick little easy summer trips to like and not just summer, like for the whole, just while it was warm, it was like, oh, let's go here, let's go there, or drove, or like go to little small towns and let's just get a motel room and let's just swim. And like he took those kids and kind of did that, and I think that was helpful for them and him to be doing that. At least they kind of did it together. My mom kind of did it on her own. She started going to college, and because I think up until that point in time, my mom thought her entire life, once my sister was born with her disabilities, it was, my entire life is going to be dedicated to this girl. And I will be here for whatever she needs for the rest of her life. And this is going to be my life's focus, because she will always need a caregiver and somebody to help her. And then when she died, there are no more kids at home full time. Everyone's in school. There's no babies anymore. I think she thought, what the fuck am I going to do with my life? I thought everything changed on her. And this is when she started going to school. So she went to college and she became a phlebotomist. And she got a job at Via Christi at the hospital. It was like, going around taking people's blood. Hey, I need to take your blood, blah, blah, blah. Really, really liked it. Was stepping into her creativity more while going to college. Really wanting to be more about art and poetry. And this is kind of when the alter ego started, right? Like my mom, who she was, is dead. That person died with my sister. This new person that I'm creating is now my new identity. This person can be whoever the fuck they want to be. And this person doesn't fucking go to the Catholic Church. And this person does a lot of opposites of what the mom that I grew up with did. And it was like, there's only a couple kids at home now, right? So she's for the first time in her life, she's able to see that there's a whole new, different world out there than just staying at home, mom, being your church stuff, living in your little bubble. There's a lot more out there. And she started to discover that. And it was her and my ex-wife, man. They were hanging out. She had a neighbor across the street that was hanging out with her. She was evolving into this person that she was going to be now in this next phase of her life. And my dad, in the meantime, you know, you can't take forever off. So, you know, when he started to go back to work, he wanted to get back into radio. It's like the only reason he left radio was because of, you know, all this stuff and all that. And now at this point in his life, those stresses and those things are gone. You know, they don't matter anymore. They're not important to the way that they used to be because the family's starting to get smaller now. Kids are moving out. There's not more coming in. You're starting on the downward trend. You know, and it's like, well, I don't. And plus the one is dead. It's like, I don't need that much anymore. I regret getting out of radio probably. You know, it's just his thoughts. I want to go back and do what I love. And he tried, man. He fucking tried. He tried. He went all over town trying to get people to, you know, pay attention to him for this. And of course, everyone knew him. It's not like they didn't know him because he'd been dealing with all these fuckers for the Wendy's shit. So he's been in the media industry. And all these people still know him and his name because he is a fucking legend in that town. And they don't give him a chance because he doesn't know the boards. And I get it. Look, I understand. I'm not pissed. It happened the way it did. And I'm very thankful for the way that it turned out. But it was tough for him to deal with at that time while he still got his dealing with, you know, his daughter dying and not being able to find a job and knowing that he's got this new responsibility and not feeling super close with his wife because she's out exploring this other stuff. And I thought motherfuckers were going to get divorced. Well, we're gonna have to bring this episode to a close. Be sure to tune in tomorrow for the finale of The Founders. Thanks so much for listening. Until next time, peace out.